I left the love of my life behind. You like 9 to 5, I'm the weekend. Oh, I gotta let her go, Casablanca. Alright, Layahbabes, here's the finished look. We were able to dive into the new Make Me Nude eyeshadow palette by Kiss, not Ruby Kisses. You guys also saw some new techniques for lip liner and a few different tips and tricks on how to blend and make your foundation look seamless for the summer. If you guys agree and you like this makeup tutorial, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. Also hit the subscribe button for future videos. And I will see you guys in the next makeup tutorial. She is my rock. She is my rock. Is this actually recording still? Y'all, I'm never gonna update my recording equipment. You wanna know why? Because this is exactly how you make it from the bottom to the top. Blech. First, I'm gonna start by priming my skin. I'm gonna be using Nika K's facial setting spray. I like to just refresh the skin so that I can wake my face up to let it know that we're about to load it with some stuff. Now that that has dried down, I'm going in with the e.l.f. Grip Primer. This is their Power Grip in the blue one. I'm not sure if there's a difference between the blue and the pink one. If you know of anything, let me know. I like to apply that in my T-zone, and I'm realizing that this one is actually pretty sticky. So if I go in with this on a day where I want to wear concealer, or it's a summer day and I know that I'm gonna have an oily time, I definitely think it's worth wearing. Okay, I'm just gonna add some hair clips to get my hair out of the way. And the first thing we're gonna start on, Layahbabes, is our brows. I took a trip to Ulta Beauty recently and I stumbled across the Morphe Clear Gel Brow. The only difference is this one is more of a hydrating brow gel. Anywho, and for our brow pencil, we're going to be using the Ruby Kisses in medium dark brown. Only thing you need is a spoolie. I'm gonna brush through my natural brow hairs. There's no product. Ah, what is that? The other brow gel I've been able to try before was the Nika K Clear Brow Gel. This one actually has a harder consistency, almost like an edge control. I would say that I do prefer this consistency. As you can see, it's a little dried out right about now. I do like the Ruby Kisses brow pencil because it has a sharpenable tip, so you can just use the sharpener at the end. And I'm just gonna use a small mirror so that I can get kind of close. So I'm going to start on the bottom. I'm gonna start by filling in the bottom portion of my brow and then arching it up and then filling in the middle. Now that those brows are filled in, I'm using the spoolie end and brushing the middle portion. This gives it more of a faded look. On the back of my hand, I'm using e.l.f. Concealer in Deep Olive first. This is also e.l.f. in Light Sand. To combine these two, and this helps to give me a nice under eye brow bone highlight. In the small mirror again, I'm going to start at the beginning of my brow. And then I do like to use Light Sand, the lightest concealer, in the arch area of my brow bone. Mixing both of those concealers together, I'm going to line the top portion of my brows. And whatever's left on the brush, I just like to blend that in right through the middle. With a flat blending brush, I'm going to pack down that concealer. For setting powder, I'm using the Ruby Kisses number 2 Banana shade. And I'm just gonna use one of these makeup wipes from Ross that came in a 4-pack just to wipe off the back of my hand. We're also gonna be using this makeup wipe throughout the tutorial. If you're like me and you've been if you're like me and you've been taking a few different looks at me, blah, 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 blah. If you're like me and you've been trying new makeup cosmetics in the beauty supply store, here's a new option to pick up. This Make It Nude eyeshadow palette. It comes with all the neutrals that you could ever want. I actually do enjoy how pigmented the mineral shades are. So in ode to me taking a few beauty supply store trips, let's use this eyeshadow palette. I'm gonna start with Role Play. That is a nude shade. I don't have anything to set my lid. I don't want to use anything today. This color is gonna work as our transition shade, and it also helps to bring down the brightness for my brow bone. So here's how the eyeshadow looks just blended out with the color Role Play. Next, we're going to tap into some Top Secret in the inner crease area. This is going to help to give it some definition. I'm actually not switching brushes. If you're familiar with me in my chair as a makeup artist, there she is right there. I usually don't like to use too many brushes on my clients because it's convenient to not have to shift through so many. This is typically where I do get stumped. I don't want to make my look like how I've posted on my Instagram the past few looks. I do like to give you guys something different. How familiar are we with cut creases on this channel, you guys? So I'm just going to use this on the lid of my eye first. I did learn a cute technique where you look up and then you look down, and that kind of gauges where you want to cut your cut crease. And then I'm gonna round my eye all the way to the end of my lash line and then fill it in on the lid. And then just to make sure that doesn't run or crease, back end with a plain brush and blend that in. Using Top Secret again, that's going to help blend in this outer corner. Now I'm gonna go in with Hard. It's a darker charcoal brown shade, and that's gonna be our deeper color for our crease area. I did switch brushes. This is the Sonia Kashuk eyeshadow brush, and this is just helping to keep it more precise in the crease area. And I do want to do something that's still summertime friendly, so I'm going to go in with this Champagne Rose Gold shade from the eyeshadow palette. It looks like this. I still have some concealer on my hands. Let's actually wipe that off. Here's how the shade Desire looks like. It has this really pretty iridescent gold champagne. So we're going to use that on our eyelids today. And I'm going to actually apply that with just my ring finger right on my lid. And I'm lightly dabbing it in to make sure that it gets as close as I can to the concealer that I use for the cut crease. And right here, I'm just using a small pencil brush to get right at the end of the edge. And then I just want to lightly buff out that outer edge corner, going back in with that shade Hard, just to make sure it didn't get lost with our iridescent sparkles. And I do like the way that this is going. So I'm gonna grab my black liner and I think a white liquid liner. Using the white liquid liner first, I'm going to create a soft line for my cut crease. Okay, now I'm just going to soften the edge of those white lines with what's rest on my eyeshadow. Now using some black liquid liner from Ruby Kisses, I'm going to create a small thin line. The only thing I don't prefer about felt tip liners is the ease of drag. It's not there. It's really hard to drag this liner because it is a felt tip. Now that that thin line is on, I'm gonna go in with a black, any black from your palettes you can use, a small shaper brush, and I'm going to lightly pack over that liquid liner. Now that is on the eyeliner, I'm just taking that same Sonia Kashuk brush, lightly buffing that out, kind of making sure it meets the edge and creates like this cat eye effect. I've been liking the look of my natural lashes, so I'm applying the Essence Princess Waterproof Mascara on. I am going to use a falsie, but I'll show you guys what that looks like in the event that it does not come out the way I want. I do want to use these bulk lashes that I got in stock from Temu. You guys, Temu has been taking over my app store with press-on nails, wigs, random knickknacks, just things to get. So these are a pair of lashes that I got from them that come in a bulk style. I'm going to use this kind of wispy separate look, and it looks like this. Using my rose gold HallayahSade tweezers, I'm going to apply these right to the top of my lash band, and I just used some clear glue. I'm gonna go back in with the Essence Princess Lash. I do like the way that these lashes look. And this is just gonna help to blend in my natural lashes with the false. Hey Layahbabes, let's get into our makeup. I'm gonna use our makeup wipe one last time just to make sure if there is any fallout, I can wipe it off. And your primer's already settled in, so now we can go in with our concealers. We're gonna use the Deep Olive in e.l.f. Camo Concealer first. Right above my cheekbone, I'm using Deep Olive on my lower chin area as well as my forehead, and then right above my lip area. And before I go in with the lighter light sand concealer, I do like to blend that in. These beauty sponges are not beauty blenders, but they're beauty sponges, also from Temu. Comes in a big pack of mini ones and larger ones. Then now we can go in with our light tan shade right in the inner corners of our eyes. I'm also going to use this down the bridge of my nose, on the tip of my chin, and the tip of my forehead. And one last bit on my Cupid's bow. Let that dry down some. Smaller sponge first. With this, we're going to blend our T-zone. And as convenient as it does seem to use this little guy underneath of our eyes, we're going to use the bigger one. I don't want to lose the shape that I've already created with the concealer, so to blend out the rest, I'm going in with that same blending brush, and I'm lightly packing out on the edges and in my inner corner area. Right. Have you visited your local Dollar Tree? If not, their cosmetic section is getting up to date with many things. This is a dupe of the contour like sponge. Let me know if you know the brand, but we're gonna use this as our contour today. I'm in the shade medium dark. The contour I like to do my forehead, underneath of my chin, right underneath of my bottom lip, on my Cupid's bow, down the bridge of my nose, and then I like to chisel the cheek area. Given that no time to dry, I like to go in with just a plain buffer sponge. You like 9 to 5, I'm the weekend. Oh. Do you guys remember that same brush that we used to press in our powder on our brow bone? We're gonna use that same guy on our nose bridge. If you are full coverage girly for the summertime, this is the best time to wear full coverage foundation. Nevertheless, it does stay on. What other shambles y'all been hearing? But anywho, we're using Casablanca by Juvia's Place. I left the love of my life behind. I gotta let her go. Casablanca. Okay, I think I have an unbalanced foundation area on this side, so let's add just a little bit more. Going back in with our sponge just to make sure we didn't lose anything. I grabbed a new e.l.f. Camo blush. They are so good. This is their liquid blush in Coral Crush. Do you see how vivid and bright pink that is? I'm gonna blend that out with just our foundation buffer brush. Strokes right into the contour area. Now this is where I do like to go in with the little guy and kind of buffer that over top of the blush. And then we're gonna use some Ruby Kisses powder. This is going to help keep the under eye bright and the T-zone bright as well, but also set it so that there isn't any creasing throughout the day. These makeup puffs are too cute. You can purchase them at your local Walmart. They come in an 8-pack for like $2.98. Powder tip, and place that right underneath of my eye. Down my T-zone as well with the powder sponge on my chin area, my Cupid's bow, and at least my forehead. Holy grails! I feel like this is definitely one of those, I gotta pick out my high school makeup bag and put some stuff on. This is the L'Oreal True Match in the shade W7, and I'm using this as a foundation powder. I did switch sponges for you guys in place of the sponge that it comes with, just because it's more convenient. I'm gonna rub that up on my powder sponge and pack that right over top of the area where I had my Casablanca foundation. While the under eye is still setting, I'm going in with my Morphe Trailblazer Leader bronzer and an angle brush for my cheekbones. I'm going to use that in the contour area. I'm also going to use this same bronzer on the bridge of my nose. Now we're going to wipe off the loose powder that's underneath of our eyes using a taper brush. I did go and purchase a Fenty powder. This is their Pro Filter foundation powder in the shade 360. I like to use this underneath of my eyes. Your difference in the first application is that it does lighten the loose powder. Now you can leave the loose powder and then just do your setting spray if you want, but I do like to go in with a pressed powder because it makes it smoother. This is the Sahara Blush Volume 2 palette. I'm gonna go in with the Lena, and I'm not sure what she says anymore, as my blush shade, and lightly just that over top of the contour area. Now we're done with our foundation, powder, and bronzer. This you can let air dry or fan dry. And then once it's touchable, I do like to go back in with my softer sponge and lightly pounce that in around my foundation area. This helps to give it more of a skin-like technique and finish. And I'm a powder buff, so I am going in with a lighter shade. This is the NC40 in MAC Cosmetics. Now we're gonna go in with some highlighting. This is the Beauty Bakery Brownie Bar highlighting palette. It's a highlighting and contour palette, but I'm going to use it just for its highlight. Taking this on the very tip of my cheekbone, I'm going to blend that upwards into my blush area. And then I'm going to switch to using my ring finger again. And I'm using that as a guide for the tip of my nose and the center of my eyes. What this does is it gauges the highlight so that it looks more centered with your face. Just a little bit of that. Now that our highlight is on, it is visible, it's there, it's strong, it's a streak. We're gonna lightly buff over top of it. Lips or dip? Just kidding, we are not finished with the look. This is the last part of the look. I'm so happy you guys were able to stay as long as you did with me. Y'all, why am I looking at the look and I'm like, okay, I made a little jokey joke about this being the final look and I didn't even finish the bottom liner. I didn't even finish the bottom liner. And I'm lightly packing that underneath of my lash line. And then going in with Top Secret, that burgundy type shade right underneath of that. What a fun idea. I wanted to use this yellow liner, so we are still gonna do that. This is the NYX Cosmetic Cosmic Glow Liner. Guys, I've seen people do this to like hold it down here. Me and NYX Cosmetics are through, whatever. Using this cute dupe I got, not a dupe, using this cute original, the Saint Adore. I got this for my birthday. My birthday was in January, it's been a while. Lash line mascara. I'm gonna go back over the lip line that I already started right in here. When I went to the beauty supply store and picked up June, I was so excited. There was only 2 left in the stock. So make sure you guys pick up this lighter shade. I think it's the lightest that Ruby Kisses goes in a matte lipstick. I'm gonna use 2 glosses for our lip gloss today. If you do like a matte lip, that was the Black by Ruby Kisses and Dune by Ruby Kisses. I, however, am gonna use the White Lie by Ruby Kisses and apply that in the center first. And this is the e.l.f. Lip Plumper in Pink Cosmo. Okay, I'm just gonna remove my hair clips. I'll be right back. I'm gonna show you guys what the finished look looks like once we do a quick hairstyle. And if you are not new to this channel, I do like to overline my lips. Have you guys gotten lip fillers by now?